Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
All righty, what's going on, everybody? Thank you very much for being here today on The Lock Shop. Dustin Nielson with you. Huss and Pete Greggy will be joining us as well. Pat will probably be by around 11:20, I would think, like most Wednesdays. And Huss should be here right away as well. I'm going to wait for Huss to take our little victory shop in the 9-1 parlay last night. That worked out a little victory lap. Did I say victory shop? That's just another name for the Lock Shop right now, the Victory Shop. We should officially rebrand because it's been going pretty well. EST Parlay will be locked and loaded. Vegas keyword coming up a little bit later on today as well. We got the oil stream with myself and Tommy Gazzola at noon today right here on Edmonton Sports Talk as well. And, slide on into the nasty chat. Of course, if you are listening on TuneIn or on iHeart or on EdmontonSportsTalk.com and you would like to chime in on any of the bets that you're making or any of the plays, maybe some bad beats or whatever, feel free to text us, 780-218-9999. That is also the number that you're going to use to get into that to draw. We'll give you the Vegas keyword around 11:20 this morning. Lots to get to in the world of sports. Hustle and I will kind of hit on that. Pete Greggy will join us, so we'll give you the keyword at 11:20. Patty will hop on. We will talk some Valero Texas Open, lay out our best bets for that tournament as well. But 780-218-9999. Nasty chat, let's get going. Let's find some plays for tonight. That EST parlay in the National Hockey League tonight will be up shortly. I would assume I fired that over to the boys. We got a 5-game slate in the NHL tonight. Lots to break down. We got the Stephon Diggs trade in the National Football League that we will get to, that I think is very fascinating on a couple of different levels. So looking forward to that. We'll go there. A bunch of draft picks going the other way for Stephon Diggs. So let's bring in Huss from Winnipeg Sports Talk. Joins us as always every single day here on the Lock Shop. Huss, what's going on, buddy?
Victory lap time.
There it is.
Victory lap time. You know, dude, we need to get some sort of an animation.
Yes.
Either a partner parlay victory song. Like, we need to, when
it's a great idea.
When the GOAT Sidney Crosby comes through the way he did for us last night, and then we follow it up with the Bruins grinding out that win in Nashville, Vegas taking care of business for a plus 900 banger. I think we need to up our celebration game here on the Lock
I
Shop.
totally agree. If anybody's watching or has any suggestions on how we celebrate our victories, because it's important in life, Huss, to celebrate your victories, right? Everybody get down in the dumps on your failures, but it's important to really strut your stuff on victories, and there's got to be some ways. There's got to be some ways to do it. So if you have any suggestions, you can text them in to 780-218-9999. Hit us up on the nasty chat. You know what was crazy is the Penguins. It wasn't a great start to the game for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and Crosby wasn't in on the very first point. I was just like, oh man, this is gonna be tough. So then I slide over. I see that they score a bunch of goals in the third period, but it was before he got the empty netter. So I was like, oh, for sure they've scored 5. Crosby's got 2 points. And I slide in and look at the box score, and it's the Evgeny Malkin show. And I was like, damn it. I can't believe. And then sure enough, gets the empty netter with like less than 3 minutes left and cashes. And then we were kind of texting back and forth, and I was like, we need the Bruins. And right after we started texting, you're firing back. You're like, 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. And this is when Vegas was already up like 4-1. So it was, it was nice. It was a sweat. It was a little bit of a sweat. But at the same time, as soon as Vegas got up big on the Canucks, I was like, I'm feeling really good about this.
Well,
so nice.
I had the funniest evening. I hooked up with one of my buddies, and we went over to one of my favorite spots that I've taken you, Salisbury House. Shout out to the Sal.
Yes.
So we're crushing a burger and whatever, and I'm checking the scores, and I'm like, oh man, New Jersey's up. That's pretty much it for Pittsburgh, I guess. They had that nice win last night, but 3-1 at the end of the third. It's probably not happening. And he goes into this big rant about how Pittsburgh was so dumb signing Malkin. Malkin is toast. He's done. Can't play anymore. And I get back from Sal's, settle in, watching the Jays. Let's see what's happening. I'm like, 6-3? Wait a second here. And go down and realize that Sid got it done. Then it was Malkin with 2. And then the empty netter came through. And all of a sudden, like, Sid is so hot right now.
Buddy.
It got me thinking. Is there any? This would be one of his greatest feats of all time. If somehow he pulled the full Undertaker move and brought the Pittsburgh Penguins back for the dead. They are at 79 points right now. They have 75 games played. So they've got, they have 7 more games. They're 4 points back of Philly with a game in hand. In between them, though, is the Islanders at 81, the Wings at 82, the Capitals at 82 as well, and the Caps have a game in hand. So it is unlikely. I think their playoff chances were 7% yesterday going into yesterday's action. I imagine it's probably into double digits at least today. But could Sid, and like he is, we talked about it yesterday. I mean, you went with the plus 2 points just based on how incredibly hot that he's been.
Plus 180. Plus 180 for Sidney Crosby over 1.5 points when he's been on an absolute tear as of late. I thought that was just a great number for us to get it at.
So here's their schedule for the rest of the way. Head-to-head with Washington tomorrow. And Washington lost last night. Huge game. Home to Tampa on Saturday. At the Leafs on Monday. Home to Detroit on Thursday. Home to Boston. Home to Nashville. And their final game of the season at the New York Islanders. Like, I don't know what the number would be. It would be interesting if they could just post that right now. Pittsburgh to make the playoffs. I would almost like to see a daily, like for all of those teams that are in the mix. Washington, Philly, Islanders, Pittsburgh. Just a number on will they make the playoffs? To be able to bet
and just kind of keep it rolling and pick spots, and yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. I think that'd be a lot of fun to do.
At least for the next sort of 3-4 days. I mean, a couple losses will take a team right out of it, but it's interestingly enough to see. And you know what, Pittsburgh, they've won 4 of their last 5. They lost in a shootout in the other game, so they have 9 points in their last 10. They've completely gotten up off the mat. But anyway, so we get the good news about Crosby and the points. And then, as you mentioned, I mean, that Preds Bruins game was 0-0 right through the final TV timeout in the third period. And then Boston exploded for 3, got the win. And, Vegas, great start, got it done. You know, we had a plus 1,100 one about a month ago or so, but we rarely even get up into that neighborhood of more than 7-1 or 8-1. So a 9-1 banger was amazing. And while all of this is happening, Davis Schneider gets up in the bottom of the ninth and goes deep off Hader for a 2-1 Jays win. It was
look, the Jays bats still suck, but at least they came through late in that game and managed to sneak away with the dub to stay 500. On the season. That kind of came out of nowhere. I think everybody was just sort of like, let's wrap this up and go home. And then sure enough, Schneider sends one deep. And on the call, I didn't even think they thought it was going to be gone. No. When I was listening, it was like deep to left. I was like, I think this is going to, I mean, obviously I haven't watched a highlight. It got out of here, but it didn't seem like they were expecting it to go.
Were you watching, speaking of TV broadcasts, were you watching the bottom of the 8th?
No, I was not watching the bottom of the 8th. I was watching, well, because I'm a sucker, I was watching Lakers Raptors last night.
How was that?
Well, first of all, the Raptors might be the worst team they've ever had in their history. They've lost 14 in a row. And the Raptors were wearing their gold jerseys. The Lakers were wearing all black. And the Raptors home court is just disgusting to watch. So it was a visually unappealing game yesterday. I was very frustrated the whole time I was watching it.
And of course, the Raptors don't have their first round pick, do they?
They don't have their own first?
They traded it at the deadline last year to get Podol.
Oh. Ouch. I totally forgotten about that.
Yeah, especially when you're losing 14 in a row and you're solidly in the lottery. Maybe there's some sort of lottery protection on it, but they owe it. Or maybe they can give away one of their other first-round picks that they got, because they got a couple of them for Pascal, I think. But that is the case. Anyways, it was a rough run for the Sportsnet crew. They were pulling off of, they missed a very key play where a guy from first just ran to second, not paying attention. And they had a close-up of the pitcher. No one was paying attention. Guy ended up on second. And then they had the camera in, and like even the announcers weren't paying attention. And Alejandro picked off Altuve on third base for the third out. Like it was a mess. We'll give them a break. It's very early in the season. They're just getting it together before the team gets home a little bit later on.
Well, let's get our hockey picks in because it's a late night tonight. I got an EST parlay. Then I want to hit on the viewing numbers for LSU and Iowa. We got to get to that. And we got to get to the Stephon Diggs trade as well. So, but we've been talking hockey. So let's just get our read on the board tonight here, Huss. EST parlay. I don't know if it's up yet. I see Jake sliding around over in the nasty chat there. Jake says the Raps have their first in the top 6. It's top 6 protected. Well, they better get there. Are they in the top 6 right now? There's some really bad teams in the association this year.
Lottery. Let's check it out.
They better tank as hard as. That's why they've lost 14 in a row. They're like, we need this pick. Let's go.
They are right now 6th last. They've got 23 wins. Memphis Grizzlies have 25 wins. They were actually really good the last few years. John Morant's back. Anyways, we don't need to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies. Portland 19 wins. Charlotte 18. Spurs 18. Wiz 15, and the Pistons 13. So basically right now, and they have lost 14 in a row. Grizzlies just won a game, actually. So I guess if they stay below Memphis, their pick will be in the top 6 unless they somehow get past and get bumped down. So I don't know. And again, I don't know much. I usually kind of get into the NBA draft closer to the draft.
Yeah, it is a fun draft to kind of take a look at and figure out where these picks are at.
Of all of the drafts, though, it would only be ahead of the baseball draft because we never really know anything about the baseball for the most part. Although it's kind of become more of a thing the last few years. But obviously, the hockey draft is huge for us, and the NFL draft it's a big one. Is a beast of all its own.
The only like the NBA draft, I do have a lot of fun with it. But my biggest memories of the NBA draft was when we were covering NHL drafts on like media night on like Thursday. The NBA draft was usually on, and we'd be at a bar having drinks, and the NBA draft would be on. That's what I remember a lot about the NBA draft. NHL tonight. Let's just get to this. I know Pat's going to be locked and loaded, ready to go. A couple other stories there that I said we want to hit on as well. You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, Vegas keyword. In about 6-7 minutes here as well. Zach, can you just turn my headphones up just a little bit? Kakkonen for the Devils, unconfirmed at this point. Shesterkin for the Rangers. Vasilevsky and Joseph Wall, both likely for Tampa and Toronto. Talbot and Joey Decord. Calvin Pickard is confirmed to start for the Oilers tonight. Jake Ottinger will go for the Dallas Stars. Ingram, likely for the Coyotes in the starters net. And Silovs for the Vancouver Canucks. Huss, just 5 games on the NHL slate tonight. Anything that catches your eye? Classic mute scenario, Huss.
The Rangers, I think, are going to be coming off. They should be in an ornery mood after their loss to Pittsburgh earlier this week. They get the Devils, who are playing the second end of back-to-backs and gave up 5 goals in the third period. So I don't mind if we want to look at a bit better of a number. Rangers in regulation is something that is attractive.
Minus 118.
Lightning and Leafs. The Lightning are the team that really need to keep winning. How close are they right now? Now that I think about it, like the Lightning with the way that they played lately,
they've been great until they screwed us against Detroit 2 days ago. Remember, but they've been rolling. They are 6 points back.
6 points back, and they both have 8 games left. So the Leafs actually have not. Really, I mean, it seemed like it was all but done that they would be the third place team. Although it's interesting, Florida's 2-7-1 in their last 10. They lost to the Habs last night.
Yeah, I know.
They're only 4 points up with the Leafs, and the Leafs have 2 games in hand.
It hasn't been good.
we may have to get. I don't know if you've got a lead on that game. I mean, obviously the Lightning have been playing great. They seem to be playoff ready right now. I could easily be convinced to take the Lightning at plus 110 in that game. Oilers Stars is a tough one. I will certainly be pulling for Edmonton in that one, but Dallas has been great as of late. I would think the Kings are a play tonight. They look not good. I mean, they're coming off back-to-back losses against the Flames and Jets. The Kraken are done. Maybe Kings in regulation would be a play. And I'll be honest, I think I have to stay away from that Vancouver-Arizona game.
Yeah, me
like,
too.
The Canucks playing last night against Vegas probably will be going. Who did you say was in net tonight for Vancouver?
Silovs?
Okay, so third stringer, call up.
There's a reason they're only minus 154 against the Coyotes, right? We saw what happened against the Golden Knights, back-to-backs. Third string guy is going to be in between the pipes. That is likely a stay away game. I would agree with you on that one. I don't mind the Tampa play, and I 100% love the Rangers in regulation tonight at minus 118. Let's just say if we want, we usually don't build like a 3-gamer when there's only 5 games. However, if we were to go Tampa at plus 110 in Toronto, Rangers minus 118 on the regulation line tonight, and then the Kings just on the money line at minus 183. It's 5-1, Huss.
That's like plus 500. I had done the same thing. I don't trust the Kings enough to think that they can win in regulation. And you know what, Seattle, one thing to note, there's a lot of teams that are done that actually are playing their asses off right now and winning games. I mean, Buffalo did it last night. Montreal did it last night. But I think this is an important game for the Kings to win. I mean, Vegas is winning right now. So we'll be in a situation. So yeah, let's do that. Rangers in reg, Kings money line, Lightning money line, plus 500. And we know the fellas will take care of us with a nice little boost for the lock shoppers, and we can get that up in the Coolbet exclusives.
Jake says he's working on the exclusives right now, and there you go, Jake. There's another one for you. We'll give you the Vegas keyword in just a second. P. Greggy's going to join us. Obviously, we'll dive into this Valero Texas Open. Huss, we were talking about it yesterday, though. What's the number going to be for Iowa and LSU? And it comes in at $12.3 million. Bigger than any NCAA football game last season, with the exception of Michigan State. Bigger than the NBA Finals. Bigger than the World Series. Just a monster number for an Elite 8 game between LSU and Iowa. That's incredible for women's sports, man. That's just amazing.
Bigger than any Cup final. Or any NHL game since 1971.
Didn't even register on the radar there at the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, I mean, for the Bobby Ryans out there and the rest of the world that are planting their flag in the ground, guys, read the room. Read the room and read the numbers. Times like this, there's a lot of people that kind of expose themselves to be idiots. But I'll tell you what, anyone that watched that game or just turned it on to see what it was all about, they didn't turn it off. It was that good. I'll tell you what, I think the game on Friday, with it being a Friday night, I don't know whether they'll get back to that number. But Caitlin Clark she's got an aura all of her own. Paige Beckers is a huge star. But there was something unique about the rematch of last year's final that everyone did see. LSU, Iowa going head to head. But listen, it's awesome. I mean, it is great to see the momentum that the women have from the NCAA. And I'll tell you what, and I think it was maybe Joelle or Jen Cooley that mentioned last week or last show that the women stay in school. The NCAA right now, it's just all one and done. No one knows who the players are. They kind of find out who they are before the tournament, and then more often than not, they're gone to the NBA or elsewhere. Women is totally different, and a big part of that is the fact that the money isn't there in the NBA for most of the stars. But who knows? Maybe that'll change. Anyways, it was a a watershed moment for the women's sports when that came out yesterday and or earlier today. And good on them. I'll be watching on Friday. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, no, me too. I'm looking forward to it. Mark over there on the Nasty Chat says, can someone explain the Bobby Ryan joke again? Well, Bobby Ryan was being critical of women's sports on Twitter, and he's kind of been getting raked over. He doubled down on it a little bit too, which is not a great look. And he's just wrong. He's just wrong in those spots. People are watching.
I believe his quote was, "It's 8:43 p.m. I'm just going to go home and pretend that women's sports matter." Yeah. They might not to Bobby Ryan, but they certainly do to a lot of other people, and 12.8 million of them.
Yeah.
And that's in the States. I mean, TSN's got their own broadcast team for this. Claire Hanna was down there.
Claire was down there, yeah. Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, I would, just from a Canadian perspective, be fascinated at what the Canadian number is, because I can tell you, I was in a couple bars before the game, and it was on everywhere. People were paying attention to it, and I'm sure it'll smash any record before of women's basketball in Canada, but I'll tell you what, it might be up there with some of the other top ones. Speaking of the women, by the way, Women's World Championship getting going on the ice right now, breaking the PWHA. So now a lot of those teammates will be going head to head for their respective national teams. And that'll be something.
That'll be a lot of fun too. Yep. All right, let's get to your EST flyway to Vegas. We'll save this Buffalo Bills Diggs talk for Patty. He's going to join us here coming up. He's a Bills fan, so we'll get his thoughts on the Bills moving on from Stephon Diggs. Take a look at that deal, and then we'll get into the Valero Texas Open, the EST Flyaway with Vegas 4 times per day right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your chance to win a trip to Vegas, 2 nonstop flights, 3 nights accommodations, tickets to a Cirque show, presented by FlyYG and the LVCVA. Nonstop flights over 50 destinations. Your sports trip starts with a nonstop flight from FlyYEG. Visit www.flyYEG.com for more over there. All you have to do is text in this keyword to 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Stay by your phone. Zacticum will call somebody around 11:50 this morning. All right, so you got some time to get in on here. Today's keyword on the Lock Shop is line, L-I-N-E. Line. Text line right now to 780-218-9999. Line, L-I-N-E, to 780-218-9999, and that'll get you into the mix to possibly be our qualifier in the Lock Shop today for the grand prize draw of a trip down to Vegas with Edmonton Sports Talk, the LVCVA, and FlyYEG. All right, we're going to get to some golf picks, but let's bring in Pete Greggy here, Lock Shop Buffalo Bills fan and supporter, to give us his thoughts on Stephon Diggs. This is a fascinating trade. Like, Houston has C.J. Stroud. They've got Nico Collins. They've got Tank Dell. I did not have them going out and trading for another significant piece at the receiver position. They did. I know Buffalo's now looking for someone. Patty, did this catch you kind of off guard, not off guard at all? What were your thoughts when you saw the Diggs trade go down this morning?
It's something that you felt was coming, just you never knew when it exactly was coming. I feel like this is overdue. The thing that makes it frustrating for the Buffalo Bills, I think, is just the fact of the implications when it comes to that extension and the guaranteed money that they have to pay, that they're going to be locked up with some salary. But let's be honest, guys. Stephon Diggs isn't the best teammate. He's on the wrong side of 30. His numbers have vastly decreased since Joe Brady took over as OC. He is a guy that is a volume receiver. He needs 10 to 15 targets a game to get going. This offense that Joe Brady that he instilled, and again, it's not his full offense, let's be honest. I know he took over for Ken Dorsey, so it's not like he could completely reinvent the wheel mid-season. But if you look at the production from at the start of the year for Diggs to when Brady took over, Diggs at the 11 to week 18 mark, he had averaged 45 yards per game, only had 1 touchdown, but the Bills' record was 6-1. Before that, they had a 5-5 record. His yards per game was 86.8, and he had 7 touchdowns, but the Bills' record was 5-5 and sputtering. Now, I'm not saying that Stephon Diggs is not a good receiver anymore. He's going to do fine in Houston. Maybe a couple years down the road, we'll see if he tears that locker room apart like he's done for the last two. Again, this is not an ideal situation, but I got to give Brandon Beane a ton of credit for having the stones to make a tough decision like this. It's not like this team, lost in the Super Bowl and was one play away. Like this is a few seasons in a row they've fallen short. And where has Stephon Diggs been in those big moments? Absolutely nowhere to be found. His last game played as a Buffalo Bill, 8 targets, 3 catches, 21 yards, and the biggest muffin of a drop that we've seen since Stevie Johnson back in the mid 2000s. Well, with late 2000s.
Stevie Johnson, yes.
Yeah, what a throwback that was.
I was going to say I did not have a Stevie Johnson reference on the show today. This is great.
But that's the case, and I'm not calling Stephon Diggs now Stevie Johnson. Let's be honest. Yeah. Again, still a great receiver. He's going to do great
he's
things
not washed, right? He's not washed. It's just like a change of scenery was needed, right?
He needs a change of scenery. Probably should have happened last year. And here's the thing. Josh Allen is your quarterback. Josh Allen is your franchise. There's no way this trade happens without Josh's blessing. They're not getting rid of him without Josh Allen saying, you know what? Yes,
good point.
Right. It's time
good point.
to move on. There's zero chance that happens. Do you think what's going to be a fresh breath of air is when Josh Allen goes up to the podium and he doesn't have to hear 5, 6, 7 reporters ask him game after game, week after week, what is your relationship like with your number one receiver? Every time a tweet goes out there, whether it's from Diggs or his brother, there's speculation. The circus just had to stop. It had to stop. And when you're at a crossroads, let's be honest, the Buffalo Bills are a contender, but they're not as close as I think they probably thought they were a few seasons ago when they lost to the Chiefs. And I'm sure Huss is absolutely loving this conversation right now. But you have to make rash decisions. You have to make tough decisions. They probably messed up by not trading him before the extension. But you have to do what you have to do. And I think cutting loose from Diggs before the downfall becomes. And again, he might be able to go to the Texans with that receiver room. I don't know if he's going to get enough touches to keep him happy, to be quite frank. But he's going to do fine. That's a great receiver room. I don't love them trading him to a team that you're arguably trying to go toe-to-toe against to be the next one to knock off the Chiefs. That absolutely stinks. Would I have liked it more than a second-round pick? Absolutely you would have. But who also is going to give up more than a second-round pick for a guy who's 31 years old, had the worst season of his Buffalo Bills career, especially when you look at half. I talked about those numbers. You look at him in the playoffs. Who's going to trade a first-round pick for that guy? Nobody is. The Bills' hands were tied. Brandon Beane's hands were tied. They had to make a tough decision, and they made the decision. It might age like milk, or it might be a great fresh breath air for this offense and for Josh Allen. With all that being said, if there is no plan in place to trade up for MVH, get a first-round pick, go out and get Brandon Ayuk, go get T. Higgins.
I was going to say trade for T. Higgins. Go get T. Higgins.
Yes, if they do something like that, perfect. This is fine. But if it's they trade Diggs, okay, now what's the plan? That is where I have the issue.
Patty, don't you understand that the plan is Curtis Samuel? Right? They brought in Curtis Samuel. The plan is Curtis Samuel.
What about MVS?
Yes,
he's available. Like there'll be some guys on the market, and I think the Chiefs have sort of already done the blueprint for this, guys. And it's not to go and spend $30 million a year on T. Higgins.
Hey, the Tyreek Hill thing.
It's using that draft pick that they got. There's a lot of great receivers. I mean, are they going to get one of the top couple guys? No. But you know who I think loves this trade? Josh Allen.
Yes.
Stephon Diggs is a huge pain in the ass. And you could tell that he was wearing out his welcome and he was bad vibes, bad juju around the club. Like I think that they're going to be better off without him. And
yes.
and I mean, this is like they get a second rounder in 2025 a
Would
sixth rounder this year, a 2025 fifth rounder as well. So the help won't be coming right away, but they do get some more draft capital moving forward. And, I think they probably use that. You never know. Maybe they trade that pick to somebody to get a guy they want that's available this year and move him in a year before. But I'll tell you what, for the Texans, like, who could have seen this coming? There were so many doubts about what they did in the draft last year. Stroud turns out to be an absolute stud. They make the playoffs, and now they're loading up. And I think with Stroud being the guy and Diggs where he's at, and a strong coach there as well, I think they'll be able to have him settle down a bit. It usually takes a while for him to wear it as welcome. And I'm not sure he's got enough time left in his career to really do that. So aggressive move by the Texans. And that was the pick. It's actually the Vikings pick that's going
It's a Vikings second rounder that's going the other way.
And that was part of the way the Vikes moved up to get that second first rounder that everyone thinks they're going to use to trade up to get one of the quarterbacks available in this draft.
And let's not forget, fellas, what happened when the Minnesota Vikings traded away Stephon Diggs? They went out and got Justin Jefferson. You can still upgrade at receiver with getting rid of a guy. It can still happen. So I know Bills Mafia Twitter is normally there'll
be some sort of addition coming. There's no way they go into the season with Shakir and Curtis Samuel as their right. That's just not going to happen.
Fellas, I am the president of the Shakir fan club. You guys know this. He can't go into this season as wide receiver one. That just cannot happen. There is a plan in place. Something it has got to give. I'd feel a lot better about this deal if Brandon Beane calls a press conference at some point, or if he talks to the media, whatever it is. But I'm not as outraged as a lot of folks on Bills Mafia Twitter are right now. Like I think it's a bold move and it could absolutely blow up in their face, but it needed to be done. It had to be done.
Yeah. Hey, and Texans also got Joe Mixon too. I forgot about that. I mean, that offense all of a sudden is going to be very much like the biggest question for fantasy owners is that there are too many guys. Like this Diggs take away from Nico
Not for
Collins
CJ Stroud, there isn't. If you're a CJ Stroud fantasy owner, you're very happy right now. Yeah, I think you got to be happy with what they got there. But you're right. I mean, this morning when this trade was announced, it was right at the end of our show. And I immediately was like, no, my Nico Collins shares. And then I was like, yes, my CJ Stroud in Keeper League. I'm very excited for it. So I don't know if I told you guys, but I'm doing 2 best ball drafts already. I'm in 2 leagues right now already drafting, which is a lot of fun. I'm having a good time already on the fantasy front, which is good. All right, it is Wednesday. We like to talk golf on Wednesday. Patty, did you freeze or are you just sitting really still? No, you're just sitting really still. I thought you froze for a second. Valero, Texas Open. Let's just start. I would just have this question off the top, and then we'll get into all of our best bets, and maybe this guy falls into that. But where are we at on Corey Connors, the success he's had here, where he's at right now? What's the Corey Connors discussion like for this week?
Huss, do you want to take this one?
Vibes are high, man. I mean, listen, he's the guy. He's won this tournament twice. He famously won it when, and booked his ticket to Augusta. Like when you're looking at who is available in this tournament, and I guess just very quickly, I mean, top of the board is Rory McIlroy. I mean, there's some big names in this one. The Ludwig Oberg, Hideki, Rory's 10. Oberg's 12, Hideki is 20, Spieth's 22, and then Corey Connors is 25. I mean, if you were a guy, and I know that, course familiarity and history works better with some others, but I mean, the fact that what he's done at this tournament before, I think speaks to itself, and certainly going to want to be in fine form heading into next week at Augusta. So, I mean, a little piece of Corey Connors at 25-1.
You got to have a little bit of him.
I think goes without saying.
Yeah, I think it's not just Canadian. I mean, it's a little bit of a Canadian thing because he's our guy, but this is one of his places. AP Greggy?
Yeah, he's got 2 pairs of cowboy boots, man. Like, this is the Corey Connors Open. And the thing is, I get it. And Huss, you bring up a great point. This is the best Valero that we've seen.
Oh, yeah.
Like, go figure. Us and the Coolbet boys go down last year, and there's maybe a sprinkling of some elite talent this year. It's like, are you kidding me? Of course we couldn't go this year, but his form actually has gotten a little bit better as well. T18 at Bay Hill and then T13 at the Players. So it's starting to come together, and this is a ball striker's paradise. And when Connors is on, when he's flushing the ball, there's not too many more guys that can hit the ball better than Corey Connors. So it's definitely not my strongest play, but I just don't want to not have a piece of him if he comes here and lights it up and we're thinking here, oh my God, he's going to win another one of these things. I will say a top 20 at plus 200 is a bet that I absolutely love. Like absolutely love. That might be the best bet of the week. So I got a piece of Connors. He's definitely not the strongest just due to the fact that his recent form hasn't been great, but like you'd have to be some sort of sicko not to at least sprinkle a little bit here on him, considering he owns TPC San Antonio.
Well, slow open to start 2024, but top 20 in his last two events.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I mean that's
what I mean.
it's like trending right in the right direction right now. The top 20 at plus 200 is real nice. I'm gonna get on that right now as you brought that up. All right. So outside of Corey Connors, who we all want a piece of, Huss, where else? Who else you looking at this week?
Well, here, just before we get into picks, and I'm trying to kind of do this on the fly. I meant to really dive into it before, but who are the guys that need it to get to Augusta?
Oh, I don't
I mean,
have
it's
that
always
list.
a great story. Like I'm looking just at the top of the leaderboard, and I don't believe that Alex Noren is in the tournament right now. I'm pretty sure he's the top. He's the, like, as far as the odds go, the top guy that is not in the event. Is Harris English in it? This is nicely done because it's all Harris English.
Let's see, let me bring up the.
This is Fowler.
I think Harris English.
He is in it.
He's top 40 right now.
Yeah, he's in it right now. So Noren, Benyon is in, English is in, Fleetwood is in, Harmon is in, Billy Ho, I don't think, and what about Henley? Russell Henley's in.
Right, Russell Henley is in. Billy Horschel is not.
Well, I guess that's where I'll pick up. It's in the middle of my board, but Billy Ho isn't in it, but he's heating up at the right time.
Yeah, he's right here.
At the
I got him too, buddy.
Let's go. Let's go. T7 at the Houston, T12 at the Valspar, T9 at the Cognizant. 4 top 20s this season. He's third in strokes gained in this field. Only Matsuyama and Oberg has better numbers when it comes to those stats. He actually has some good course history here as well. Three top 4 finishes.
Yeah, 3 top 4s. Like, that's really good.
3
course
top
history.
4s. Like, that's real good. And he has not missed a major tournament since 2018. So if he doesn't win here, that's going to be the first time since 18 that he hasn't found himself competing for a green jacket. So Billy Ho, 35-1. You know me. I like to dive into the numbers and the stats, but I'm also a sucker for a good storyline. So Billy Ho winning this and punching his ticket to Augusta certainly had to make my big board here.
Yeah. So listen, I'll ride with you guys on that one because I wasn't sure. I knew he had some good results here before. And the other guy that's been playing pretty good, we have had shares of him before and would make a great story getting to Augusta, is our guy Ash K.
Yes.
50-1. 50-1. And listen, I realize that the field is much tougher. Like a Corey Connors story happening this week, a lot less likely because of the other guys that are in this tournament. But I think for everyone that's in the Masters, it is way less about winning and just rounding out their game to be at their best next week. For Horschel, for Ash K, that is not the case. So, and especially coming off, there's nothing better than a big partner parlay win on Tuesday heading into the golf show on Wednesday. We maybe got a little extra scratch to throw down. So both of those guys are in for me. Ash K was the guy that I really liked at 50-1. I'm going to put a little sprinkle on Colin Morikawa. He is a guy that we've sort of been waiting to go, and this is maybe more looking ahead to next week. He's just too good to not be getting better results. And at 28-1, along with your guy Max Homa, Dusty, and Matty Fitz, and who knows, maybe Morikawa is more like a top 200 or top 10 or top 20. But I think I'm going to put a smaller one on that. But out of principle, Corey Connors is getting a bet. Billy Ho's getting a bet at 35-1. The guy that I'm most excited about that would make the best story, and it's the best number, 50-1 on our guy Ashke, who has really showed a lot of glimpses this year that he's ready to go toe-to-toe with these top players.
Yeah,
in his 28 waist jeans.
He's been big time boom or bust too. Like when he makes the cut, makes it to the weekend, he's right there in contention. I think his showing in Houston certainly was something that, as Batia backers, I think we were pretty pumped to see that. He did fall off a little bit on Sunday. He still, just finished one stroke outside of the top 7. Ended up being T11, but he cashed me a top 20 bet. So I'm going to ride that top 20 plus 215. I'm also on him at 50-1. He's gained more than 7 strokes on approach last week in all of his rounds in Houston, and he gained 2.6 strokes putting in his last 2 starts. That is one thing that has plagued this guy, is just he has been absolutely ugly with the flat stick. He's got the big broom now, and that seems to be helping him out a little bit. But even if he's not really great at putting, Corey Connors has showed if you just put the ball close to the hole, you don't need to be.
It makes it easier,
and it makes it way easier.
Way easier.
And so I think maybe if Batia can have that approach, and you mentioned it, he's a little guy, but he mashes it off the tee. These fairways are, they're pretty narrow, but for the fact that it's not really that penal of a course if you do just miss, if you're just in the rough. When you hit it OB, obviously, but it's not really a place that you need to be in the fairway every time. So he can get a bit crafty with smacking the ball around. So I really like Batia there. I guess I'll hop into my next two. I think you guys probably could guess one of them. Ludwig Åberg. I have to.
Man, you love this guy. Hey, I love it. You are all in on this guy.
All in, absolutely all in. And I'm kind of almost I think I have. This is a principal bet. I got him actually at 14-1 before.
I was going to say, do you love him at 12-1?
I don't necessarily do. I know 14-12 is not really that big of a difference. Just when you look at all the big names, and I know Åberg has now finally put his name up with some of the big ones. He is in the top, 10 world rankings right now. When you look at all the strokes gains metrics, he's right there. This guy really doesn't have a weakness, because every time he comes up, it's he fits well for this course. He fits well for this course. He fits well for this course as well, because he really doesn't have much of a weakness to his game. He's so well-rounded. He's having a really solid start to the season. 3 top 10 finishes in his 7 starts this season, including an 8th at the Players. And he's 13 in stroke gain, 2nd in the field, 2nd in proximity, which would be huge for this course. And then, of course, another one, 17th in bogey avoidance, 9th in the field in that metric as well. So 12-1, I probably would still bet it. But part of me wants him to finish strong, so I'll bet him top 10, maybe not to win, and then he wins, a little bit of a teaser. I think I'm going to bet him to win the green jacket next week, but I bet him. I had to bet him. The other one, again, Matsuyama, just the ball striking is something that is key here, and he's a great ball striker. He's got some pretty good familiarity with this course, T15 last year, and he was coming off an injury as well, but that's kind of when Matsuyama started to turn his season around last year at this point. Again, when you look at all his metrics, the only thing that does scare you is the putting. But again, this is a course. If you can get it close to the hole, that certainly will make your life a lot easier. The reason I like Åberg, the reason I like Matsuyama is because of all the guys, the big names, they're the only 2 guys that I think you can comfortably say are in good form. Rory's not playing like Rory right now.
No, he's not.
Max Homa, I love Max Homa. One of my favorite players on tour. he has been struggling quite a bit as well. Morikawa, I get it, Huss, why you're taking a piece of him, because you look at that ceiling. He hasn't even come close to his ceiling. He has been awful. Maybe this is the time to turn things around. You look at all those big names, none of them are really playing all that well, except for Oberg and Matsuyama. And I think form is really important here. Those guys want to continue to roll into Augusta next week.
It's funny because I'm looking at my picks and my notes right now. Obviously, we had to talk about Corey Connors. We all like where he's going. Next two guys on my list were Hideki at 21 and Billy Ho at 35-1. So you've covered the bases there. I don't necessarily love a lot of the top of the board this week, so I'm going to be on another 35-1. Huss, you mentioned him briefly when we're looking at who's already into the Masters, but Byung-Hung An, I'm going to look at this week.
Yep.
Benny.
He's been here 4 times. 2 top 10s as well. His form so far this year hasn't been that bad. He's second
It's been great.
He's second in birdie average so far as well. I love the fact that he's at 35-1. Like, I like a lot of the guys in that range this week. So yeah, I'm going to roll with Benny here at 35-1. Huss, you like him too? I mean,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And full disclosure, was going back and forth between Morikawa and Ben for that extra one. I said Morikawa, so we'll go with him. Ben's getting a touch too, and I don't mind Ben if we want to start thinking about about a parlay. I mean, if we go Connors, we go Billy Ho top 20, and maybe we throw one other guy in there and try and get 3 of them. Although, do you have exclusives already up, Pat?
Yeah, what do you got,
Pat?
Yeah, we do. Let me just run through a couple of them here. I've got 2 Greggy golf specials this week. I really could not decide what I like more. So my one is a cut parlay. Oberg, Homa, Connors, and Bhatia all to make the cut, plus 275. And again, don't want to talk about the parlay last week, but the cut parlay did not go well. I'm looking for a bounce back this week. The other one is feeling a little bit Swedish this week, fellas. Aberg top 10, Noren top 20, plus 650 for that one. And then some of the other ones, number of Canadians to make the cut over 2.5 is plus 155. Any Canadian to make the top 10, plus 103. Any Canadian to place top 5, plus 255. Fitzy and Fleetwood top 20, plus 600. Pendrith and Svensson, Coolbet athletes to both make the cut, plus 240. Matsuyama and Corey Connors both to finish top 10, 12-1. Morikawa and Homa, the California special, 12-1 for those 2 guys to finish inside the top 10. And then a couple other ones, but the one that I really like, I don't like it because I'm not going to bet it, but I think a lot of people might like this. Rory McIlroy to win the Texas Open and John Rahm to win Live Miami. That is 80-1. Definitely worth a sprinkle.
can you imagine that heading into the Masters?
That's what I mean. Like, just Scotty coming off,
nuts.
2 victories and a close win, and then those 2 guys closing it. Like, I mean, just that would be too good. So those are the exclusives that are already up here. Fowler, Glover, McNeely, Eckroat to make the cut. That's another one. Rory top 5, Aberg top 10, Spieth top 20, 22-1. I'm glad no one has Spieth on their card. I know he's got some good course history, but again, when you talk about those guys that are trying to find form, he's not even close right now. Another one, last one here. Top Canadian, Corey Connors, plus 110. Taylor Pendrith, plus 400. Adam Svensson, plus 400. Ben Silverman, plus 500. Roger Sloan, plus 900. Corey Connors, obviously, with how he's been playing with his course history here, heavy favorite in that category.
If we have Connors and Billy Ho top 20, Huss, we both like Benny. Patty, you already got Hideki in that other one over there with Connors. I would just bet it myself at 12-1. I thought it was pretty decent. Who else do we throw in here in that third spot?
Let's go with Ben. Ben is a lock shop favorite. Great Twitter follow as well.
Yes.
A guy that I've been on for years, lost his tour card. Like, I was betting him to win the U.S. Open at like 75 or 100-1 4 years ago. He lost his card. He's come back better than ever right now, and we're seeing with the numbers. But I think that, based on what we're looking at for top 20s, we probably get a pretty good number on that. Like Ben is plus 175, Connor's plus 125, and Billy Ho is going to be is plus 165. So all those together, I think we're probably, I don't know whether it would just Billy Ho.
Should be a pretty good number with the two guys being down at 35-1 range to win it. I mean, they're top 20s. I think that's going to end up being pretty solid.
It's all nice plus money.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, it's good. Huss, let's
cook that up.
What's coming up on Winnipeg Sports Talk today, buddy?
We've actually got an awesome show today. Wyshynski's going to come on. That's always fun.
Yeah, he was on with us this morning too. He's great.
Ricky, what was his big take today? Was he on one on anything?
No, I mean he's picked the Oilers to win the Stanley Cup each of the last 2 years. So yeah. People still criticize him, think he's an Oilers hater, but he's like, I've picked them to win the Cup the last 2 years. We actually got into WrestleMania with Wyshynski today, so you're gonna have to dive into that with him, right? He's a huge WrestleMania. He went off on the Rock and everything. It'll be fun. I look forward to watching that later on.
You know what? I certainly will. But Shane Malloy's coming on, and we're gonna talk a little bit to Shane about Rucker McGroarty and what's happening in the NCAA and the teams that are there going to the Frozen Four. But the biggest story that I don't think enough people have been talking about, Dusty, when it comes to hockey, that's going to affect every level of hockey in Canada, is what happens with the NCAA now that the the nil rules are in. Mm-hmm. The potential of Canadians playing in the OHL, WHL, Q now being potentially eligible to play in the NCAA. And that the ripple effects of that are it's staggering. So Malloy is maybe the best guy in the biz to talk about that. He's going to come on. So very much looking forward to that. And it should be a good one. But let's keep it going. Partner parlay is up, by the way, 575.
Nice boost.
Not quite the 900 that we came through with last night. But hey, if we can make that happen, 575, some back-to-back. Let's do it. And by the way, just on my way out, I was just checking while we were talking. Scheffler's now down to plus 475 for the Masters. Biggest or lowest, shortest number since Prime Tiger. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Can't wait for next Wednesday, you guys.
I think the Wednesday show is going to have to be the full hour.
Full hour Masters. There's nothing else that day. It's that simple.
Hockey will not exist.
Yeah, hockey. Okay, guys. Go ahead, Patty.
One quick thing, Huss. You got to go check out the odds for WrestleMania. There's also some specials, some parlays up.
I was on them last night. Night.
Oh, yeah.
Trust me.
Huss, are we doing Friday? Are we doing Friday show WrestleMania? Is that the plan? Or do you? Okay, all right.
Friday for sure. I'm leaving no stone unturned for this one. But yes, for fans of sports entertainment and the odd wager for the big one, the WrestleMania, it's as big as it's ever been before. And they literally have some specials in there. Just check it out for yourself. Full picks coming on Friday.
All right, boys.
I can't wait. If you need someone else, tag me in. Tag me in.
By God, it's Pat Gregoire's music. This is unbelievable. That'd be good. Okay, boys, we'll talk to you later.
Right on.
There you go. That's Huss and Pat Gregoire. Find him on Twitter at P. Greggy, obviously Hustlerama. The EST parlay is up as well. We're going to call our qualifier here right away. EST parlay is up as well. I kept it. I don't know if this is simple or not. McDavid and Draisaitl both have 2 points or more tonight. Oilers win plus 385. If you want to get on that, 2 points for McDavid, 2 points for Draisaitl. Oilers win plus 385. Go to exclusives at coolbet.com. Click on the Edmonton Sports Talk parlay and ride with me over there. All right, Zach, who's our qualifier here on the Lock Shop today for the EST Flyweight event?
We got Dennis on the line here.
All right, let's go to Dennis. Dennis, congratulations, buddy. Your name is in the mix.
Thanks, Dusty.
Have you been to Vegas before, Dennis?
I have, yeah. Last time was, I think, 2017. My kid played a lacrosse tournament there, so I said, I'll take you.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll take you there. I got to take my kid. I got to take my kid to Millwoods Arena for spring hockey tonight. I'm like, but Vegas tournament, that'd be okay. That'd be all right. Who would you bring with you on this trip?
Oh, geez. Probably my wife.
Excellent, Dennis. I like that. Terrific answer. Tell your friends about Edmonton Sports Talk, man, and good luck in the grand prize draw.
I do all the time. I'm an EST evangelist, buddy.
Beautiful. I like that. An EST evangelist. Well done, Dennis. Everybody's watching or listening. Tell your friends about EST as well. iHeart, TuneIn, super simple, easy to consume, and we'd love to have you. I think you'll enjoy the content. All right, that's going to do it for the Lock Shop today. Fun episode. We always have fun setting up golf, man. It's a good time. Thank you very much for joining us today. Good luck with your bets tonight, and we'll talk to you tomorrow on the Lock Shop.